Hi, it's good to be speaking to the tax community through Tax Sutra. And this is in relation to the upcoming budget, which is supposed to be the unprecedented budget of our dreams. And as the finance minister has been involved in this exercise with her team over a period of time, the three things that I hope she has been able to fully focus on is the three factors that I believe are most essential for India and the Indian economy at this point in time. And those are first, the creation of enough jobs in the economy. The second is creating an environment which is not only investor friendly, but is actually one which enthuses investment both internationally and domestically. And the third situation is that we need to focus very, very heavily on investments into improving the competitiveness of Indian industry. And let me take each of those one at a time to explain why I think they are so critical to us, both in the context of where we are as a nation, but also where the global economy is. Uh, Quite clearly, the biggest threat that we have, both economically and socially, and which is also our biggest opportunity, is if we can ensure that the Indian population, or as large a segment of it as possible, is gainfully employed. And if it is gainfully employed, it has the ability to spend, which expenditure is really going to be the rocket fuel for our economy. And from that perspective, it is critical that we create a clear focus on employability, not in these sort of incremental steps that we have now, but on a war footing, which really means we focus on three things. One, that industry and the services sector are creating enough jobs. Two, that our younger folks, the younger citizens, are properly skilled and equipped to take up those jobs. And three, that there is a certain level of multiplication and perpetuation to the opportunities for employment, because it cannot be that we employ at a very high rate for a period of 2 to 3 years, but then we again fall back because you'll have another generation of millions of youngsters who do not have jobs. And that is bad news, not only from the perspective of the economy, but I think it is one of our biggest risks, even on a socio-political level, as we are seeing, sadly now, every dissent, whether it's farmer policy or whether it is otherwise, could spill onto the streets. And any situation where the unemployed youth feels that they have no hope and things are out of control, I think could have quite significant, not only economic, but also social impact. So she has to focus on the creation of jobs. Very clearly, what we've done till now has not even addressed the tip of the iceberg in terms of the problem. And in the budget, of course, what she can do is bring in a series of fiscal measures which reward employers, which reward continued employment, and which reward incremental employment. And I don't think this can be something which we can use as a carrot for a year. I think there needs to be a broad-based and consistent policy, at least for 5 years, to say that those who are entrepreneurs, those who create jobs, retain jobs, and multiply jobs will actually receive recognition in terms of fiscal benefits, in terms of tax benefits. So to me, that's really issue one. Issue two is India as a investment happy destination. It's not just about the factor here of the China investment, which is going elsewhere, coming to India. I think this is about, firstly, the Indian entrepreneur wanting to invest in India and the global entrepreneurs wanting to invest in India. The situations are that, whether we like it or not, we significantly lack in terms of the infrastructure that we can offer to many sectors, including the manufacturing sectors in remote parts of our country. We have to work on that, maybe create hubs at very large levels, which have the infrastructure. Quite clearly, we also need to create the environment for investors, domestic and international, to feel a certain certainty of predictability of policy, that there will be supportive policy for an entrepreneur and an investor for a long period of time, and therefore at least a 5-year period. And the third situation is that irrespective of what crisis the government goes through, monetary, fiscal, revenue, that industrialist will not sort of be hunted down, whether it is by a tax officer or whether it is by another regulator. That doing business in this country is not going to be an unending legal challenge, but that the laws and the interpretation of those laws will be supportive of business. And I think it is critical that happens, and it happens quickly. Uh, I don't think the recent judgments in Vodafone and Kane do us any credit, but our government has consciously chosen to challenge those. Many people feel that we should not have, because it would have sent a much better message to investors. Be that as it may, we've taken that step. The question now is, how are we going to comfort people on a long-term basis? Because let's be candid, we do have a problem, and the problem needs to be fixed. We should not burrow our head and pretend like an ostrich that everything is fine just because some investment is coming. As a proportion of the investment we deserve, both domestically and internationally, we are getting only a fraction, and we have to change that equation. The last situation is competitiveness of our industry. And the competitiveness of our industry is critical for two reasons. We are in a phase of going from globalized trade to more regional trade to more FTAs, RTAs. Now, these are two-way street agreements. We can't only get access to their markets without giving them access to ours. And if it is a two-way street, then we have to really prepare ourselves for two things. One, for domestic industry to compete with products which will come from abroad. And two, for our products to be competitive enough for us to make significant leap in exports. That then means that we need a very, very paranoidal focus on our competitiveness. And if for our competitiveness, industries have to be funded, if sovereign funds have to be created for research and development, if those funds need to go to industry, need to go to smaller businesses, so that they can improve their competitiveness, if that money needs to go into R&D so that we are world leaders in certain products and technologies, if that needs to go to sharpen our competitive edge in sectors such as the IT, BPO, gems, jewelry, we really have to take that step, because absent competitiveness, there is no ability for us to continue to irrationally protect our markets or to aspire to export without having the product which is capable of being exported. So I think, we have a strong government. It has a huge mandate. They have taken some very, very difficult decisions and, had the courage to take them. And I am hoping that this budget, will deliver the strength that this government has and that our PM has. So I think the FM can actually play a completely talismanic role, like happened in 91. I think this is her opportunity. And, she's been brave enough to pre-sell the budget as one of the greatest which will come. So I'm sure she'll come good on it. But we must remember the world is not waiting for us forever if we don't get our policies, our approaches, and our administration right. So thank you for listening in. Good luck for the budget. And I hope this is a budget which transforms India. Thank you.